Hello friends, it's Tyler from Rehab to Fab Designs and content creator for Dixie Belle Paint Company, and today I'm going to show you how I made over this cute little filing cabinet slash side table that I picked up at the thrift store. I wanted to go with colors that were neutral enough to go in any home but also still a color, so I chose Savannah Mist and Cotton from Dixie Belle and decided to use stencils to dress it up. We prepped it by sanding it to remove the factory finish, and the drawers were actually stripped. Next, we primed everything but the drawers using Slick Stick from Dixie Belle. This was done to ensure good adhesion of our paint. I taped off the edge on the inside where the drawers go so I would have a nice clean area where my paint would start and stop. I used 3M blue painter's tape for this, as it's my favorite for getting those nice clean crisp lines. Speaking of good clean crisp finishes, you want to make sure you prep well, so that included again sanding down this piece. We always clean afterwards with White Lightning from Dixie Belle. It is a chemical degreaser that will remove any dirt and debris, fingerprints, oils, etc. from your project. Once you have your piece properly prepped, it is time for good quality paint and good quality paint brushes. For us, that obviously means Dixie Belle Paint Company products. For this project, I'm using the chalk mineral paint line because chalk paint is just so easy, you guys. It is so easy to use to transform any of your furniture, to get that outdated look updated and more modern. And there are so many colors to choose from. Super easy, little prep required. However, I do always prep my pieces very well because I like a nice smooth finish, and it's just easy peasy. My favorite brushes to use when I'm going for a nice smooth finish or a blended finish are synthetic brushes. Here I'm using the Dixie Belle Mini Angle because it's great for getting in these corners, like here where you see the flat area has a trim piece around it, and it gets in those corners very well. When you want a nice smooth finish, having a good quality brush is very important. You also want to pay attention to how you're applying your paint. As you can see here, I'm working the paint up and down along the side of this cabinet in a nice light, even stroke. You can apply your paint in shorter surface areas if you want, especially if you're working around detailed areas or in those corners. But once you have it applied all over, you want to make sure you come back over all of it and do the entire length from top to bottom to get those nice brush stroke free finishes. Also remember, the lighter the touch, i.e. the less pressure you put with your hand on the paintbrush, the smoother your finish will be. Now, I know you guys could just watch me paint in slow-mo all day because it's just so exciting, but for real, check out how great the Mini Angle brush does right here. Next up, I'm applying a second coat of paint, and I did not need to sand in between. Why? Because I used a good brush, and I put it on nice and smooth with no paintbrush lines, so I didn't need to. Next up, the fun part. We're going to stencil the side of this cabinet using chalk mineral paint in the color Cotton, and I'm going to be stenciling the Victorian Damask stencil on all three sides minus the drawers of this piece. You can apply your paint over a stencil using a sponge, or I like to roll it if I'm doing a larger surface area like I am here. When rolling paint over your stencil, it's key not to put too much paint on your roller, otherwise you could get bleed through up under your stencil, causing lines that are not clean and crisp. To do this, I apply a small amount of paint on my roller evenly, but then I use a piece of cardboard, or you can use a paper towel or old cloth, roll off any excess paint off your roller, and then gently, lightly apply it all over your stencil. If you want your stencil design to be more of a solid coverage design, you'll want to apply the paint evenly, meaning the same amount of paint all over the stencil. If you want it to look more like an old, worn, distressed look, then you're going to apply it in what I call a hit or miss style. This simply means to apply it heavier in some areas while applying it lighter in others, and this will give it that worn, distressed look. You can also come back over it and sand it. I almost left these drawers as is because my hubby worked so hard to strip that orangey oak finish off of them. However, they still had a little bit of an orangey yellow tint, and I wanted them to be a more, I don't know, lighter, brighter kind of finish to go with my light blue Savannah Mist color and my white stencil. So I decided to do a whitewash over them to tone down some of that yellowy orange color. If you've never done a wash before, I highly recommend it, especially for toning down those colors like you see here, and it is super easy. You simply mix a small amount of paint with a larger amount of water to thin it down. Once you've stirred to mix it well, you're going to paint it on your project and then wipe it back off. That's it. That's all a wash consists of. The good thing about this is it's easy to work with. So if you put a coat on and it's not quite to your liking, you simply, like I said, wipe it back to lighten it up. If it's too light, no big deal. Put another coat over top of it and wipe it back again. Still don't like it? You can add a third coat of your wash over it and wipe that back as well. For these drawers, I did a total of 3 coats of a wash, wiping it back each time until I got the consistency that I liked. You can use an old cloth to wipe back, or I like to use paper towels, and my favorite brand to use for this is Viva because they're super thick and absorbent, and they also come with no design on them, so you don't have to worry about it leaving lines in your finish. Once I finished whitewashing my drawers, I decided to apply a whitewash all over the entire piece as well, just to kind of brighten it and give it that worn, distressed look. So it kind of looked like, I don't know, a great pair of old blue jeans. Next up, I came in with a sanding block and 220 grit sandpaper so I could scuff it. 1, to distress the stencil a little bit, and 2, I distressed it along the corners and edges of this piece, again to add to the overall weathered, worn look. I had this super pretty paper that I had picked up a couple of years ago from Hobby Lobby for a custom project that I ended up not using, so I thought I'd put it to use and put it on the inside of these drawers because why not? I lightly sprayed the back of the paper with 3M multi-purpose adhesive because I've never used it for this type of project before, and I wasn't sure how it would do. So I sprayed a small amount, applied it to the drawer, and it actually did pretty well. It stuck in place, but I didn't want to put it on so heavy that hopefully if anybody needed to remove it in the future, it wouldn't be too difficult. It turned out great and was super easy to use on this really thick paper. To seal the piece, I decided to use wax. I love wax for sealing because it leaves a nice, smooth, buttery, soft finish. And for this, I'm using my white wax from Best Dang Wax from Dixie Belle to again add to that overall whitewashed look. To apply wax, I usually just pick up an old rag or t-shirt that we have laying around. Usually when my kids grow out of their clothes, if it's not something we can pass on to another, we just simply tear them up, cut them up, and use them for shop racks, and they work great for applying wax. I like to apply my wax in a circular motion. This ensures that you get it down into the grain of the wood for the piece that you're working on to get good coverage. It kind of also buffs it a little bit as you go. For added sheen, allow it to sit 10 to 15 minutes and then come back and buff it to shine. The last thing I did to complete this makeover was to stencil the sides of the drawers, and for it I'm stenciling it in the Savannah Mist, and I'm using the Cozy Sweater Mylar stencil from Dixie Belle. It's super modern, and bonus, it fit perfectly on the sides of the drawers. So here it is, all finished up. What do you guys think? I love it. Turned out super cute. For more videos like this, be sure and subscribe to the Dixie Belle and Rehab to Fab Designs YouTube channel. Drop any questions you have down in the comments section and turn on post notifications to get notified when we post. Thanks for watching.